Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to fishing. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, it's Friday morning right now. Pretty psyched about that. For once, I don't have to work today on a Friday. So I got this whole morning to fish and I'm really excited about it. As you can see, conditions are pretty calm. We're not supposed to get much wind. That could change, of course. Yesterday I went out and it was supposed to be calm, but got quite a bit of wind, but it was a short trip. But yeah, we're gonna try and get some fish. It has been tough lately, for me at least. Not to say I haven't been catching fish, but a lot of the footage I've been getting just hasn't been that great, so I'm not gonna make a video of me just catching like 1 or 2 fish. So, I'm headed out to the first spot. I'm gonna see if I can get on some fish that have been hit or miss the last couple sessions. If this doesn't work, I'm going to go exploring and see if I can find some fish elsewhere. Since for once I have conditions that'll be conducive to traveling. We have incoming tide, which is gonna be pushing us that way. And we have wind that's also gonna be pushing us that way. So I'm hoping to go in that direction. That way as the tide intensifies, I'll get pushed back to the original launch site. So not only are we going to work some of the lures that have been working lately, we also are going to try fishing a new setup. So right here I have my new kind of setup. I have a St. Croix Mojo inshore 7-foot medium action something. I'll say it actually. Medium fast action graphite, 8 to 17 pounds. I had one of these when I was fishing upstate, but I did something stupid and snapped it. And while the other rod I have, the Okuma, perfectly adequate, just a little heavy for this kind of fishing. Not so much that it's not fun to catch the fish, but it's just a lot of work fishing that thing. So I'm gonna leave that as my backup just in case something happens to this setup. Along with the new rod, I also have a new reel. So this is a Stratic, just like what I have in the Okuma, but it's a C3000, so it's at least a size down from my other setup. And honestly, that paired with this, I was messing around with it yesterday. It's a 1-2 punch. It's like fishing with nothing at all. It's such a light setup, so much fun. So I'd like to see if I can get a nice fish on it and see what that feels like now that it's a very balanced combo. So what we're gonna fish in terms of lures, we have a 1-ounce pink spro bucktail. I might up that to a 1.5 ounce with a 5-inch gulp swimming mullet on the bottom. We have a size 6/0 octopus hook, a little big, but I've been thinking lately if I get something big, I don't want a tiny little hook holding it on. We're gonna throw a 4-inch swimming mullet on there for now. We might mess around with that a bit, depending on how it goes. We're just gonna fish that for now. If the bite is really hot, we're gonna switch down to 1 hook, just because I find when I fish the teaser, I get a lot more smaller fish. But I'm starting off the teaser just to cast a wide net. So that is what we're fishing. Let's see if we can make it happen. Goes first drop. See how 1 ounce holds. We definitely got more of a wind-based drift right now. The tide I think is about to bottom out and then it's gonna start coming in, or it's already bottomed out and it's gonna start moving soon. So the wind's really just what's pushing us. I'll see how that goes. Ooh. If you were a big sea robin, I would think about catch, clean, cook, but these things are such a pain in the ass. I'm gonna get spined, I know it. I really don't like these little ones. Big ones are okay. I don't think he's hooked, he's like spined into the gulp. Wow, look at that thing. See that right there? That's why I hate these things. All right. Got our first fish, not what we're looking for, but at least there's something down there. Drift is like non-existent right now. We got a little rain too, which was expected, but this doesn't faze me. There's only 2 things that would faze me, and I'm not even gonna say them because I don't want to jinx it, but if it's, I'll put them on the screen right now if this actually does get made into a video. There we go. It's good. I don't think it's a fluke. I think it's a sea bass. Got some weight for sure. Then again, I haven't really fought too many fish with this setup. Yep. It's a nice little one. Not big. Not huge. Definitely a keeper though. But you know what? Have fun. Alright, we just got a decent sea bass. Keeper for sure, but not huge. I'm not looking to really keep sea bass unless they're huge today, or if I already have some kind of fish on hand, but I just don't feel like dealing with them today. If we get a nice fluke, we might change our mind about that. And if you haven't done so already, guys, please make sure to like and subscribe this video if you like the kind of stuff that I've been bringing. I've definitely noticed that I've gotten a bump in terms of subscribers and views now that I'm doing saltwater videos. I promise I'll be fishing hard this entire month. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And feel free to share this channel with friends that are also interested in fishing, particularly kayak fishing. I can promise you that I will be fishing all year round this year, and if you fish freshwater, there's plenty of freshwater stuff if you check out some of my other videos. And last year's saltwater, there's some pretty good stuff too. Check that out. There we go. Now that might just be a fluke. Feels small. All right, well at least we're getting the right species. Not the right size though. There we go. That's more like it. Sea bass. Oh yeah, I see bass. But you get to live today. Okay, we just got another decent sized sea bass. Not huge, but still trying to find something a little bigger and a bit more consistent. Oh, hey, better late than never. He's getting light. Whatever. Alright, just got another fluke, making it a total of 2 fluke today. Both incredibly small, but whatever. Maybe this is the sign of a turning corner. Here. It's not a skate. It's good news. Oh, that was probably a fluke. Come back for it. Come back. Come back. Got him again. It's definitely a fluke. Maybe we just snuck out dinner. I don't know. Feels good. Yeah, that's a keeper. That'll keep. Cool. It's gonna be close, but I think he's gonna make it. Cool colors. Yeah, he's 19 and a half. Cool colors. All right, so I was literally just about to get out of the water, but I marked a school of bait, about 25 feet of water, dropped it down, hooked that fish, dropped him, and then dropped it right back down and got him. I'm assuming it was the same fish. Might have not have been, but I think it was. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta follow the bait. We're gonna hang out around this area just a little longer. I'm keeping the fish in the boat, bleeding them out. Usually I'd throw them overboard, but I did see a rather large shark yesterday in a different area, but apparently there's a lot of sharks around, or so they're saying, so I'm not gonna chance it. This fish is my dinner, not shark dinner, so let them bleed out, we'll get them on ice, and we'll eventually get them home and cook them up. All right, so we are back in New York City at my apartment, first one that we've shot here, and we have our summer flounder, about 19 and a half inches, also known as a fluke. I caught this guy in the 11th hour of the trip. I really wasn't thinking that anything good was gonna happen, but that's why I don't give up. So I've kept quite a few of these, and I think I'm actually gonna do something a little different for this catch, clean, cook, which we'll take care of tomorrow. But we're gonna dig into this. So this is actually a very unique fish considering all the other ones we've had, because this is a flat fish. So some of you might be wondering, how do I carve into this? There's a number of ways to do this. I will show you the way that I'm most comfortable with. So we're gonna start with the top. We're just going to get right into that flesh. We don't wanna go all the way down here just because we don't wanna puncture the entrails and guts, what have you. Some people like to do a whole fillet, but I'm gonna cut this into 4s. So from here, I'm just gonna follow the lateral line and go right down to the tail, okay? Right down all the way, make it a clean incision. You wanna get down to the spinal cord. And once you're there, you want to kind of just get underneath the skin and follow what is essentially the vertebrae all the way down to the fins. So be patient. Again, this isn't like cleaning fish on a party boat where they're just flipping through them one after another. You want to take your time and make sure that you do this right, because you don't want to lose a lot of flesh. So I got pretty much down to the fin here. We're going to do the same thing on this side. As I'm doing this, one thing you'll notice, the flesh is quite white. I did bleed this fish as soon as I got it, but very clean white meat, not a surprise to me. I'd say actually summer flounder is probably the fish that I've kept more of in my entire life than any other. But again, same thing, we're just tracing right along the vertebrae and getting all the way to the fins. You might have missed a little bit, we can go back for it. So what you might think that I would do is finish this fillet, but we're actually gonna leave that on because I find once you take that flesh off the fish, this side, the white side, is a lot tougher to get the meat out of. So we're gonna do the same thing here. Lift the fin up. Get about 3/4 of the way down. We're not gonna go all the way through because we don't wanna puncture again the guts. All the way down to the tail. This side is much thinner than the other side, so it's a little trickier, but generally this is where the quote-unquote prettier meat is going to be found. This meat is typically a bit lighter than the meat you'll find on top. This fish is actually quite thick. I'm a little surprised. Most of the fluke that I've kept this year have been on the skinnier side, but I did mention when I found this fish that he was right under a huge school of bait, so maybe this one was eating a bit better than some of the other ones I've gotten. Who knows? But just like before, just following the vertebrae and getting all the way to the skin, or I mean, sorry, all the way to the fins. And then we're gonna do the same thing right here. Usually when I screw up the fillets, this is the side that gets screwed up just because it's quite a bit thinner, as I've said. So at this point, we have the fish basically traced out here, and the same thing on the other side. So at this point, we can remove the fillets from the fish. And try not to take any fins with us, though it seems that I've already done that. There's one. Trying to keep these fins on the fish. They're essentially bones, so if any of them come on the fillet, I'm gonna have to cut them out. And again, because I left the fillets on the other side, these are coming off a lot easier. I didn't miss too much meat, a little there, which I'll come back for. Same thing over here. I'm getting a little sloppy. All right, there's all 4 fillets right there. All right, not the cleanest fillet job I've ever done. This is probably one of the smaller fluke that I've kept this season. Not that I've kept a lot of fluke. So what we're gonna do now is get some of the meat that we missed on the carcass. So we're gonna start right here on the top, I guess the shoulder of the fish, if that makes any sense. And we're just gonna kind of get this meat that we missed. Throw that there. Not too much here. What we have planned for this fish, these little pieces will actually be quite useful, so I'm not gonna spare any meat or leave any in the bone if we don't have to. And then finally, let's not forget, if you can get cheeks, get the cheeks. And fluke definitely have good cheeks, especially when you get a larger specimen. I'm actually getting some good ones off this one. Like I said, this fish has been eating pretty well, so just cut around. And get that too. Don't want to miss any meat on this fish. Even small pieces will be very useful. And I know this is very barbaric. That's probably why I get more dislikes on these Catch Clean Cooks than in my other videos, but I don't know what to tell you guys. Okay, so not like the lake trout and like the sea bass that we got recently. Fluke do have some fairly substantial scales, so we've got to get the skins off this. So we're gonna do this like any other fish we do. We're just gonna use the very edge of the meat. This might not be the best knife for this, but we're gonna make it work. And just press against the skin. And just liberate that flesh from the scales. There's one. Next one. Really nice looking fillet there. Another nice little fillet. So there you have it. That's a full fish right there. I'd say it's a good 1.5 pounds of flesh. And I gotta say, summer flounder, they're one of the best fish in terms of getting a good yield off of a fish. Like, you get a lot of meat off of a fish that isn't necessarily so large. So I'm just gonna clean up these fillets a little bit. What I'm gonna do is just take a paper towel and just get any of the scales or whatever off the fish. And we're just gonna do that to get it at its cleanest, and we will take it from there. I'm not gonna make you watch the entire descale, whatever, but we'll bring you back when we take the next step. See you in a little bit. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is the next day, and we are going to continue our Catch Clean cook. And I'm putting cook in air quotes because we're actually gonna do something different with this fluke or summer flounder. I know that I said that I'd be doing all fish the same way for the first round, and that will still happen, but because of the circumstances, we're actually gonna do something different with this fluke. We're gonna make it into summer flounder ceviche, or fluke ceviche. So there's a number of things that we have to do to make this happen. First and foremost, if you're familiar with ceviche, you don't actually traditionally cook the fish. You're going to soak it in high acidity liquid, predominantly lime juice. So if you look, we got a whole bunch of limes. We need to make about a cup and a half of lime juice. So we're gonna do that right now. We have the lime, we're gonna cut that in half. And we're gonna do the first step, is making some lime juice. So we got our juicer here, and we're just going to juice the heck out of that lime. And we're just gonna do this about 15 more times, and we'll have the lime juice we need. Okay, so about 10 limes later, we have 2 cups of lime juice, a bit more than the recipe calls for, but this is just gonna be drained out anyways, and I think we have a bit more fish than the recipe calls for, so it's better to have a little bit too much than not enough. So the next step is we have an onion, medium size, yellow onion. We're gonna cut this into little, like 1/2-inch chunks or so, and then we're gonna combine this with the fish in a way I'll show you in a little bit. Okay, so we chunked up the onion. Now we just have to take the fish that we got yesterday, and we're just gonna cut this into little, like, 1/2-inch cubes or something like that. Some of these are already pretty small, but again, we're just gonna want these into little, like, bite-sized chunks. So I'm gonna go vertically first, and then horizontally, just to get it just right. But yeah, this fish was just caught yesterday. Ideally, you'd want to get a day of, I guess, but this is, I'd imagine, still fresh enough. So I'm just going to do this to all of them, make them little, like, bite-sized chunks, and we will take it from there. All right, so we just cubed all of the fluke, fillets, cheeks, and all. So the next step, and the big step, is we take the onions that are basically glued to the counter to the seal. We're just going to put those right over the fish, and we have our 2 cups of lime juice. Pour that right over the fish, and we're just going to make sure all that is covered, and it is. Apparently, if it's not completely covered, it's not going to cook evenly. We actually still got a little fish on the knife. And then the next thing we're going to do is we have to cover the fish, so we're just going to use a little tinfoil wrap. And we're just gonna leave this in the fridge for a good, at least in the neighborhood of 4 hours, and we're gonna check up on it, and we'll show you what that part looks like in a little bit. All right, so we got the fish in the fridge. It's doing its thing. 4 hours or so, it should be ready. One other thing we're gonna add to it, or a couple other things, we're gonna dice this avocado. It's pretty ripe. 2 medium-sized tomatoes, 2 jalapenos, and a can of yellow hominy. We're gonna mix all these in a Tupperware, and we're gonna add this to the fish, but we gotta do a couple things with that first. We'll see in a little bit. So here are the aforementioned other ingredients that we'll be adding. So tomato, avocado, jalapeno pepper, and yellow hominy. We got that. We're gonna cover it, throw it in the fridge, and mix all of this up together in the end with a couple other things, and we will get some ceviche accomplished. So another thing we're gonna add, actually, I just remembered, to our ceviche is something called trufe corn. So we put some of that on a little pan. We got our pan with trufe corn. We toast them up a little. Now that they're kind of cooked through, we just add a little salt, and we're just gonna heat them up. Oh, wrong one. And we're just gonna give them a little flavor, and we're gonna add this like as a garnish to our ceviche. All right, some kind of crazy YouTube time warp. We are back. It's 4 hours later, and check it out. So if you notice, the fish has got kind of a whitish consistency. It has been quote unquote cooked through by the lime juice. So yeah, we now need to liberate the fish and the onions from the lime juice. So we have our strainer here, and we're just going to pour it through. Hopefully not lose any. Give it a little shake. We have our fish here, and we have from earlier the avocado, the tomato, the hominy, the jalapenos, and what we're going to do is add the fish and the onions to that, and lo and behold, we have the unholy alliance of fish and the other stuff, and we're just gonna mix all this up. So we're just gonna mix and mix, and thanks to the magic of editing, and we're done. All right, so it is time. We've mixed together the ingredients that were outside of the fish, plus the fish and the onions. We have our corn, we have that all toasted up. So the only thing that's left to do is to take a tortilla chip and dive in. So we're gonna get a little of that cilantro and the ceviche, and add some of our corn, and okay, so very, very good. I haven't made this since last summer. This isn't something I'm an expert at. I mean, honestly, you can look up any ceviche recipe on the internet, and we made a few adjustments, like adding this corn, adding the hominy. But yeah, this is really quite delicious. It's a real treat for the summer. You don't have to actually cook anything. I really enjoy this meal. The meat like cooks through, it gets real firm. You can probably do this with other fish too, but I think fluke is the perfect vessel because if you can get one that's legal size, it will yield a lot of meat, and it's a very white flesh fish for this. You can probably do this with sea bass too, or maybe even some freshwater fish like walleye, or I don't know, panfish, but the fluke is like the ideal vessel. So the fluke, I would say, very good. Haven't done this with any other fish. I promise we will do a proper fluke catch, clean, cook. But that's gonna do it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you have subscribed, thank you. Leave a comment if you have anything that you want to say about this. But otherwise, yeah, that's gonna do it for this catch, clean, cook session. Hope you enjoyed. See y'all later. Goodbye from Fishin.